Hi, this is Keith and welcome to my art studio. I have a very special video for you today. I demonstrate how to paint a witch. If you watch the video and don't subscribe, please leave me a comment as to why so I can make this channel better. Thank you. On the screen, I cooked up a witch. Yesterday I watched Hansel and Gretel on TV. It was like a 1980s movie with David Warner. It wasn't too bad. And it inspired me to expand my horizons and do a witch. So I looked up some reference, and I came up with this. And I hope you stay till the end, because this is one of my best. And if you're here for the entertainment value alone, you'll want to stick around. But we have some witch facts that we're going to unleash on you. Cheryl, what you got?
Well, so everybody's familiar with the Salem witch trials, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. So, but did you know that nobody in the Salem witch trials was executed by burning at the stake?
I did not know that.
I mean, most of the time you associate witches with being burned at the stake, but nobody in Salem, none of the convicted people there who got convicted of, the BS.
Of being a witch.
Yeah, of being a witch, were actually burned at the stake. They were hanged.
Oh, like that's better. Well, actually, probably
no, it's probably not. But I'm just saying, most people associate the Salem witch trials and witches in general with being burned at the stake, but nobody was burned at the stake in Salem. That was something that happened most often in Europe.
Okay, I have a good question. You are a psychology major. Your job is in psychology.
Yeah. Explain
to me how that ever happened with those little girls.
Well, that's an interesting thing, and there's a lot of theories for that. But I think, and because I'm a behavior analyst, I'm not a therapist, but what I think probably happened is they were doing it for the attention that they received, and it got out of hand.
Kind of like TikTok nowadays, eh?
Yeah, kind of.
I suppose back in those days, if they had cell phones, they would have done all this stuff on TikTok.
Right.
Okay, Hansel and Gretel. I forgot all about the storyline. It was kind of interesting. Did you know the witch lived in a gingerbread house?
Right. Yeah. It's a German fairy tale, correct?
I think so. When I looked it up, the issue is that the parents could not afford their children, so they would send them out to the woods to be killed, so the parents themselves could eat. That's the whole shtick behind that. And that was
most of those fairy tales were pretty dark.
Any more witch facts on your phone there, Cheryl?
Oh, sure. So, most people convicted of witchcraft in Europe during, say, the Inquisition were women, but there was a fair amount of women and children who were also convicted of witchcraft, during the Inquisition, which is crazy. And how about, have you ever heard of the Malleus Maleficarum?
I've heard of it. Isn't that a rock band?
No, that is, in fact, not a rock band. Malleus Maleficarum, loosely translated, means the hammer of the witch. And basically, it was a how-to book for how to hunt witches during the Inquisition.
It seems to me that people are I know that was what years was that happening in? The 1500s, 1600s? I don't know, 1800s? But even today, people will believe anything you tell them.
The witch trials that I'm talking about in Europe was the 1500s. And, basically what that came out of was people who were different, or people who, just didn't fit in with the mold of the common society, were accused of witchcraft.
Weren't they just scapegoats for stupid things?
Yes. And it's very similar to some of the stuff that goes on these days in politics and religion, if you ask me. So
nothing ever actually really changes?
No, except that we're not burning women at the stake anymore.
We are in a way.
We are in a way, yes. I guess don't even get me started about reproductive rights and voting rights and all that stuff.
Let's not go there, because right now I'm working on my witch fiction. And this is not a political...
sorry. Yes. I apologize.
Okay, but the woman on this, it kind of looks like a dude, but the picture I took it from actually was a woman, and I think she kind of looks like an orc.
Kind of.
Or a goblin.
Yeah. Could go either way on that.
Basically, if you had a long nose and pointy ears and And I mean, if I put a hat on her, that would have been a little bit too much Halloween-y, I think. But I really like, this is the underpainting stage. I posted a video on Grisaille. It's a style of underpainting that you all should go back and watch that video if you want to learn how to paint. Now, this video is not for you guys to learn anything. I'm not teaching you nothing. I'm not going to be a teacher anymore. This is strictly for entertainment value. This is like jumping motorcycles. This is Evel Knievel of the art world right here. And if you know, I watch this stuff because it's fascinating. You know, if you watch my videos, you know I watch woodworking, I watch crafts, I have a channel where this kid, 18-year-old kid, makes Darth Vader masks out of cardboard. And he's really good at it, you know. There's this guy, he's an Asian dude, what's his name? I can't remember his name. He makes this most incredible cardboard trucks and cars and costumes, and you know, and I'm not going to go do that, but I'll watch his stuff. Creator Dan, is that his name? I don't think his real name is Dan.
Sounds correct. I'm not sure.
Okay, should I get any more facts for us?
Right. Well, in England, there was the Witchcraft Act of 1735, and that was actually in place until 1951, when it was replaced by the Fraudulent Mediums Act, which makes more sense. Like, you can't lie about, you know, being a medium and that kind of thing. The original language of that act was made it illegal for people to claim that others were witches. So I couldn't point at you and go, "You're a witch." That was illegal.
So here's an interesting question. Why is the witch that we associate with witches look like they do? Is that a product of Hollywood or what?
Well, no, earlier than that. The pointy hat part of it, nobody knows for sure where that came from, but some of the things that I've read associates that pointy hat with a kind of hat that Jewish people wore. And they were required to wear this hat after a decree made by the Pope in 1215. Innocent III
Keep on going.
decreed that the Jews needed to wear this hat. And it was similar to the yellow stars that they had to wear in Nazi Germany. But it was to pick them out of a crowd, right? Because anti-Semitism has been running rampant forever. So that hat somehow morphed into a witch's hat and became associated with ugly and evil and bad.
Speaking of ugly, hey, Google the whole broom thing, but witches have pointy noses, and so do goblins, and so do orcs, and pointy ears, but why the pointy nose?
I think it's just because it's ugly. Witches are associated with being ugly and evil.
And they have pointy chins as well.
Right. The uglier, the more ugly, the more evil.
I just can't imagine back in the Puritan days that these old ladies actually had pointy noses and pointy chins.
I'm sure they did not. They probably were just widows or women who never got married, and in a patriarchal, almost misogynistic society, they were on the edge of society and therefore probably persecuted.
So I want to know who came up with the idea that witches drove around on brooms, and they do it on what's that movie? Harry Potter, right?
Harry Potter, yeah.
Were they witches?
Witches and wizards.
So,
you're a wizard, Harry.
That's right. So have you found out any information on why they're associated with brooms?
Well, brooms were associated with the hearth in the kitchen, and women were in the kitchen and tending the hearth, and they used the broom to sweep.
But I mean the whole flying thing. I mean, there's flying monkeys in Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that one.
And there were witches in the ugly witch and the good witch.
The good witch of the north, Glenda.
Actually, when I was painting this picture, I had two different colors of green out. And later on in the video, you'll see that. And I was trying to pick, should I go with the light green or the dark green? If I went with the dark green, I thought it would look like I was copying the Wizard of Oz. So I went with a lighter green, kind of give her more of a sickly kind of look. It's hard to get your highlights that way, but since I did my underpainting with all my grays, it worked out. This little staff that she's holding on to, that I just made up because the picture needed to have better composition. It was going to look funny if it just had the face looking into nothing. So I drew a picture of my own hand holding a stick. So I modeled for my own witch picture. But that's a little globe. I can't tell you if it has any magical powers. Maybe that's the end of her broomstick. I don't know. Cheryl, you have anything else for us there?
Well, I mean, witchcraft is an actual
Job?
no, almost a religion. I don't know if you call it a religion, but it's an actual thing.
Oh, there's my two colors I was trying to pick from, the two different green colors. And here I am paint with a lighter green. It's more of a sickly zombie look, I think. And I think it suits better. I think they went with the darker green on Wizard of Oz because they just had invented Technicolor. They really wanted to make the colors vibrant. So why not go with the dark green? With mine, I want more of a zombie green. So, and this is where this painting starts to get good. If you've made it at this point, you've been in this for 10 minutes, and you get 4 stars from me, 4 out of 5 stars. You make it all the way to the end, you get 5 stars. So you need to like and subscribe. If you want me to do more stuff like this, you need to tell me so. And I hate to be so forward, but I need to have you guys tell me what you think about this, okay? Now, Cheryl, what else you got for me?
Well, I was just going to go on to say that modern witchcraft it has nothing to do with devil worshipping or any of that dark arts kind of BS that people talk about. It's really just a connection to nature and the natural world is more of what those people are.
Does that mean
into.
they dance around naked around trees and stuff?
Not necessarily, although I don't really know anything about those kind of pagan rituals.
So when you and your witch friends go and hang out in the woods, you guys don't dance around naked?
I've never done that, no.
Oh, what do you guys do then? I've seen you do it. I took pictures of it one time.
Yeah, we were just dressed up.
Oh, so you're not a real witch?
No. I wish I had magical powers. I would turn a lot of people into toads.
I have magical powers. I turned this piece of paper into this picture. That's freaking magic. Because I cannot tell you how I do this. It comes out of my brain. I don't know. I think it's just a lot of practice, but I don't know how I do it. Sure, how do I do this stuff?
I'm not really sure. I mean, but ever since I saw Bewitched as a kid, I wanted to be one. I wanted to be a witch and be able to,
Twinkle your nose?
twinkle my nose and do stuff.
That was a pretty good... We're getting way off base here, aren't we?
We're still talking about witches.
Yeah, but we talk about Hansel and Gretel. That's where this came from. So,
Right.
So in that movie, the father had to go out and he sold wood in town to pay for the bread and whatnot, and the wife didn't have a job, and the wife was constantly badgering on him because he wasn't bringing enough money home. So that's the whole premise of the movie, is that they're poor, and the only way they can survive is to get rid of the children. And that was a real thing back in those days from what I read. So
a lot of those Brothers Grimm fairy tales are really, really dark.
I know. I mean, how do they consider that to be kids' stuff?
Well, I don't know that they necessarily did. It just kind of turned into that over time.
Okay, so right now we are getting into some really good color, and let me see what I'm doing here. I'm doing a little background stuff because I wanted to balance my greens with something, so I put a little bit of orange. I wanted to use a limited palette and not go too crazy, so I used green, I used a little bit of orange, some red for the eyes and the lips, and that's about it. I think those are, well, red and green, they're not complementary, they're opposite on the color wheel. So they stand out from each other. And now I'm putting on some warts. This is where it gets fun. This is where the painting is fun because all my underpainting's done. I got my colors on. Now I can go over this and just put all my fun stuff on there. And I didn't talk about this before, but I did some outlining with black ink to really make the picture stand out about a few minutes ago. But here I am putting on all my warts, my extra, my final set of highlights, where it just makes this thing pop, 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 pop. It makes it pop off the page. I mean, the other pictures I had, I was going to sell for $1 million. This one's going to be $1.5 million. Now, I have PayPal. Cheryl has Venmo. So if you want to buy this painting, just send us your information, and we'll buy a frame for it. I think it's 17 by 14 inches. Is that what it was? It's mixed media paper, watercolor, and ink wash. So here I am putting on some blue in the background. This is all watercolor here. I love the look of watercolors. My original paintings on this channel were a lot of watercolors and thick acrylic paints, but I've been sticking mainly now with just watercolors. So Cheryl, but as we wrap this up, don't leave, guys. Don't leave. I'm putting my blue highlights. This is the blue fills in for the shadows. It's a technique that I discovered in 1875, and I was a painter. I don't know, but this makes it pop, 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 pop. This makes it worth $2 million. Okay, $2 million, you can buy this painting. Okay, tell me what you think about it. Like it and share it and hit the button and talk about it and send me money and Venmo and share anything else.
That's all I got for now.
That's all you have for now. That's great. Now I have to talk for another 30 seconds. Right now the subscribe button is coming on. Watch this. Subscribe, upper right hand corner. And when that comes on, that means you have to go hit the subscribe button. Subscribe button, subscribe button. And here we go. Thanks a lot.